So real success is when your spiritual needs are met and then everything else follows. A talent, an ability that it is born with, and that is called Swadharma. Swadharma means your own nature. That nature has to be identified. If at all there are good people in the world, they are passive. And those who are using the intellect are usually selfish. Gita says, regulate the contact with the intellect. Now, our standard of living is determined by our income. Our standard of living should be determined by our desires. A person who doesn't need relationships has the best relationships. A person who needs and depends
is always suffering.
If you're not happy as you are, where you are, you will never be happy. That pulled the carpet from under my feet. So we suffer from what we call as JATC syndrome. Happiness seems to be just around the corner.
Okay. Hello everyone, my name is Pranav and I'm your host at the Gut Feel Show. This is a podcast on mental well-being where we invite guests from all walks of life and we discuss different aspects of well-being. Our today's guest is Mrs. Jaya Row and today's conversation is really deep. We discussed about what is success and failure and its relevance from the Gita. We also discussed what is karma and how do we understand it. We even understood the difference between knowledge and wisdom, and there's a lot of deep conversation in this podcast. Please keep watching till the end and subscribe us for more such interesting content. Hello ma'am, welcome to the Gut Feel Show. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing very well, thank you.
Ma'am, I would love to discuss a lot of things and I will start with what is success and failure as per your understanding and how do you relate it from the learnings from Bhagavad Gita?
From the worldly standpoint, nowadays especially, success is measured by the money you make.
Yeah.
But from the Vedantic standpoint, it goes much deeper. So, because we as human beings, we don't have just physical and sensual desires. We have emotional needs, we have intellectual aspirations, and most importantly, we have spiritual needs.
Yes.
So, real success is when your spiritual needs are met and then everything else follows.
Okay. So, ma'am, this is a very deep thing, I believe, and for us to understand, can you break down spiritual understanding and the spiritual part of life for me?
Yes. What I mean by spiritual need is all of us have been born to reach our potential.
Yeah.
That potential is the spiritual zenith, the peak. Most of us, because we operate at the physical level and material level, we tap into barely 3% of our potential.
Yeah.
When you rise to the emotional, like let's say a person who has a handicapped son, this is a true story. The child was physically handicapped, but mentally he was all there. So the parents sent him to a normal school and tried to bring him up as normally as possible, but physically he was very handicapped. So they taught him to communicate, he couldn't speak, by using one finger on a laptop. One day he typed a sentence that changed the father's life. That sentence was, "I wish I could run." The father, who was not athletic, who had never run in his life, now started running with a boy on his back.
Oh.
And he didn't just run, he won races. He won the marathon, he won the triathlon. So this is what I mean. When you are powerfully motivated emotionally, you break free from physical limitations.
Yeah.
And come up with fantastic performance.
That is when life becomes limitless.
Yes.
And you turn into something you never realized that you could do. But
then you go to the intellectual.
Yes.
At the intellectual, you're able to, there was this scientist who was actually the person who created the first computer during the Second World War in Cambridge University. And he was given the task of breaking the German code, secret code. He realized that he needed help from others. However brilliant he was, he couldn't do it alone. So he broke free from emotional hang-ups, likes and dislikes. And he got all of them together as one team and that's how they've managed. So you, at every stage, you rise above those limitations of the lower. Now at the spiritual, you break free from all limitations. And then the forces of nature bow down to you. So in our culture, we have the story of Prahlada,
Yes,
whose father tried to burn him. That's the meaning of holy, which is coming now.
yes, ma'am.
And fire lost the capacity to burn him. Now this sounds like just a story, but it is true. You can experience it when you get to the spiritual level. It seems as if nature is protecting you, nature is helping you.
Yeah. You get to bigger forces of life.
Yes.
I think that is where the paradigm shift of life happens.
Absolutely.
We are stuck into a ceiling a lot of times, and what spirituality can give us is a paradigm shift of life.
Yes.
But ma'am, a lot of times the spirituality I have personally heard from a lot of people is misunderstood. People think it is by detaching everything and from everything and not living a normal life, going into the mountains only and living a sannyasi life. There's a lot of misunderstanding that goes around, which is why I've started to see that a lot of people are now scared of spirituality.
Yes, absolutely. That is a total misunderstanding.
Yes.
Because the definition of renunciation, as given in the Bhagavad Gita, 6th chapter, is one who does what one ought to do without depending on the fruit, the result, is a sannyasi.
Yeah.
He doesn't say one who retires to the forest.
Yeah.
He doesn't say one who gives up.
And does nothing.
Yeah.
It is not like that.
So it's a very dynamic philosophy. It teaches you first how to attain success in the world, how to become more successful in terms of material needs, how to become happy internally, and how to grow to your potential.
Yeah.
So every single human being wants this.
I think also subconsciously everyone wants it. We try to hide away from it because we get scared of it a lot of times.
No, I mean openly they say I want success. I want to earn a lot of money.
Success people do want. Yes, yes.
Openly they say I want happiness.
Yeah. But the path of spirituality is what people are scared of.
Yes, because you say spirituality.
Yeah.
That's why what we do is when we run programs for corporates or for young adults, we say formula for success.
Yeah. Because that is what we relate to, and there's a positive connotation to that. There's a negative connotation over time that has been built around spirituality, that it is about leaving everything, not doing anything particularly, and just giving up on things.
And I don't blame them, because the gurus in the recent past have done just that.
Yeah.
They have encouraged people to leave their homes and join ashrams because they want an empire.
Correct. It is their own, they are selfish in the form of, in the mask of spirituality.
And then the only thing they teach is yoga and meditation, which is incomplete.
Yeah.
Yoga is just physical exercises, which is the bottommost rung. And meditation is the highest. What about the intervening stages?
Yeah. And I think overall, what originally how it was manifested was yoga was considered as a way of life.
Yes.
And way of life meaning it was a part of spiritual growth rather than just physical growth. It was about all mind, body and spiritual all together in one place, and you working on all three of them. But we have misunderstood it with only the physical part of it, because what is visible matters more to us these days.
Not just that, it is easy to teach, easy to practice.
Correct. The other thing is very difficult.
So, and meditation is also easy to teach initially and easy to practice in the beginning, but then it gets you stuck.
Yeah.
Because you haven't done the initial, the intervening 3 stages, which is karma yoga, action, bhakti yoga, devotion, jnana yoga, knowledge. So it's very simple. Karma yoga is not something outside of what you're doing. It's just inculcating an attitude of giving in whatever you do.
Yeah.
Like we've come here together. If what prompts us is the attitude of giving, we want to give to your viewers, your listeners. We want to give knowledge. We want to make their lives better. Then we are doing karma yoga.
Yeah.
Bhakti yoga is about removing hatred from your heart. We are full of hatred, dislike,
selfishness.
and we abhor people.
Yeah.
We get disgusted with people. That is not bhakti. And then you go to a temple or church or mosque and claim you love God.
Yeah, we create those small windows where we pretend to be a nice person, but once we are out of that window, we are back into our zone of work and all. We again become that same person that we don't really want to be.
Absolutely.
A lot of times. And ma'am,
so there is so much hypocrisy in what we do.
Actually, there is a lot of hypocrisy we are developing over time, and that is where I want to get to now. That when we're talking about success, I personally feel that a lot of this learning of hypocrisy, learning of only succeeding in life and only focusing on the winnings of life is what we learn through the education system, where it is told to us that the winners are the leaders and winners are the best people, and you have to just win all the time. Although there are only one winner all the time, what happens to the other people? And there will always someone who, because of some situation in life, might fail or might even not be able to cope in that situation. They try to they bring themselves in silos and they start demeaning themselves. A lot of bad things happen. We are just focusing on the good side. We are focusing on who is earning more, who has the maximum numbers, but we're not focusing on the people who are lacking behind. I think that is where the problem begins in the teenage, and then later in life they fall into depression, anxiety, a lot of situations. So that is where I think there's a misunderstanding of success in the system.
See, Einstein said, if you measure the success of a fish by its ability to climb a tree, the fish will think it is a failure all its life.
True.
So every child has a unique gift, a talent, an ability that it is born with. And that is called Swadharma. Swadharma means your own nature. That nature has to be identified. You have to help the child identify its nature.
That is where I think we are lacking big time.
And then just because academically the child fails does not mean the child is a failure. The child may be an outstanding artist and musician, a dancer, who knows?
But there's no ecosystem like that where they can holistically explore things. I think that exploratory nature of the kids go away the more they step into the school education system.
Absolutely.
And I think that is where the deterioration begins.
And the whole accent is on academics.
Yes.
Do you know, just recently in Mumbai, I have come across 2 boys who have committed suicide.
It is all around. It is very, very sad.
Driven to it by their own parents. Because the accent is on marks.
That is so wrong.
Totally wrong.
At the end, if you see the people who have succeeded in life, people who are our idols, who the biography of people we read, most of them have not succeeded in school. A lot of them are even dropouts.
Yes. Einstein was considered a slow learner.
There are these people who we admire, and then I think we are all, it is the industrial era, I believe, which came in, and it wanted job creation. So the education system was created, and we are still falling trap into that. We are not exploring multiple facets and multiple sides of our creativity.
Actually, it is the parents who want to live their ambitions through their children.
True. That is perfectly true.
So I often tell the parents, how much did you get in school? You got 60%. But if your child gets more than that, thank your stars. Because after all, he's got your genes. How can you expect your child to get more?
Accept it.
Accept whatever he does. And that is the lack of love also. You know, pushing your child, driving him to extreme steps, to unhappiness, is cruelty, it's torture. This is something that every adult, every parent should desist from. And accept the child for what he or she is. Love the child for what he or she is. Then maybe the child will blossom in her own way. You know, you take a coconut seed and plant it. It can only grow into a coconut tree. It cannot become a mango tree because you want it.
So I think that is where you are rightly pointing out that change begins at home.
Exactly.
And you should, the parent and the family ecosystem should work on this before, rather than going out on the outer systems. They definitely have some change that is needed. I will also want to ask you, because you have a broader understanding of this system. Do you think there is a change needed in the education system now? Or is it happening? Is it in process? Is it changing?
I think the awareness has started
Okay.
that it should change, but it will take a long time, I think.
Long time.
Unless there is that political will,
Hmm.
because education is now under the government.
Yeah.
Or organizations or individuals start schools which are different.
Yeah.
And parents agree to send their children to such schools, which are perhaps in the beginning not recognized by government, but they do the child a lot of good.
Ma'am, I would also like to get to this word which a lot of people, a lot of us, even I don't understand completely. What is karma?
Karma literally means action.
Okay.
It comes from the root kru, which means to do. Okay. Now, there are two interpretations of this. One is the law of karma. I don't know if that's what you're asking. The other is karma yoga, means how do you act in the world. So, are you asking the latter?
I am asking because there's a lot of misunderstanding where people have started to make the word very cool that karma will come back, karma is this, karma is that. So that is where I think a lot of people are misunderstandingly spreading the notions of karma.
Yes. So, the law of karma simply says that for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction.
Yes.
And in the Indian culture, in the Vedantic sphere, action is not just physical action. It is the emotion behind it, it is the thought behind it, it is what we call as a vasana behind it. Vasana means the urge, the intention, the inclination to a particular thing. So, if I perform an action driven by good desire, unselfish desire, then it bounces back on me as more good desires.
Yeah.
So I become a good person.
Yeah.
If I perform actions driven by selfish desires, that is what the majority of people are doing, then it has negative results. And it boomerangs back on me as more selfish desires.
Yeah.
So that coating increases inside me. The way out is to perform action with no desire. Now, how do you do that?
Yeah.
When you have a higher desire, then at that lower level you don't have a desire.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, a cricketer who wants to be selected in the test team, he has to do so many things apart from just play cricket. Now, he has to look after his diet, he has to look at various things. There he doesn't have a desire. He doesn't have a desire to run faster. He doesn't have a desire to look good. He has just the desire to be selected. So, with reference to the lower, he has no desire.
Yeah.
So, when you have a higher desire, like you want to say, serve the nation or get to God, for instance, that's the highest. Then, with reference to the world, you don't have desire. So, whatever action you perform does not boomerang back on you as more coating. So, you become a more purified person.
Okay.
So, that is karma.
So it is in reference to the world when it boomerangs to you.
Yes. So, what happens is that when the bad result comes to you, let's say I have been the cause of great loss to you, and I meet with loss in some other way, and someone else is apparently responsible for my loss. There I must understand that the law of karma is functioning.
Yeah.
That I must have done something to deserve this. So this person is only nimitta. Nimitta means excuse for the law to function. So I should not have any hatred towards this person. So it's a very holistic thing. It's an overarching thing that covers all of life's activities.
Yeah, it is quite broad to
Very.
understand. It is, we a lot of times are playing around with a cool term as within friends and all, but it is way broader than
Yes.
what we understand about it.
But at least people have begun to understand that I can't get away with doing bad things.
But ma'am, there is one thing I have personally seen with a lot of close people. They want to do good deeds. They want to be selfless. But life is not easy. At times it hits you with bad situations. Something which you were not expecting will happen to you because of someone else. that is when people start falling out of it. People start falling into negative traps कि इसका फायदा क्या है, क्योंकि then they start thinking कि I should also do this. There's a revenge mode they get into. Although they started on a good note, but थोड़ा सा आगे चल के they get into the revenge mode because now they're feeling bad because something happened to them and they were expecting, because there's a set expectation once you do something on this front कि अब मेरे साथ गलत नहीं होगा. That is where a lot of people fall out of it. What is the solution to that?
I'm so glad you asked this question, because most of the people in the world who are good are passively good.
Yeah.
Yeah? What I mean by that is they are just good because their nature is good.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't think.
They're not pretending to be good.
No, they don't think. They don't use the intellect
Oh.
to decide, to decipher how to live in life and how to meet with negative circumstances or negative people. So, because they're functioning on the mind, someone else who's using the intellect for a selfish purpose will get the better of these people, because they're using
They're
a
using
superior
it as a tool.
instrument.
Yeah.
So, if at all there are good people in the world, they are passive. And those who are using the intellect are usually selfish. So, we believe that no, being good is useless. So, we must join their gang. That's not true. What Vedanta does, it helps you to become good. It also helps you to develop the intellect, sharp intellect, with which you're always 10 steps ahead of everyone else.
Yeah.
So the moment a person comes in, you know exactly what he wants. You know what he's up to. So no one can take you for a ride. This was Krishna's personality.
Yeah. Very smart intellect.
Very smart, but all goodness.
Still grounded. Ma'am, when you say people who are good are passively good, is it in the DNA? They're born like that? How do they become like that? How can someone become like that?
They are born like that, but often they are brought up like that.
Brought up like that. So
You know,
upbringing
in our
matters a lot.
Yes. In our culture, we are told, अरे अच्छा बनो, do good, don't
इसलिए वो
tell lies.
संस्कृति को importance दिया जाता है कि your upbringing matters a lot in life.
Nobody teaches you to develop the intellect.
Yeah.
That is through Vedanta. That is why it is so important, you see, because we as human beings, as a species, are gifted with the intellect. And if you don't use your intellect, you're worse than animals. At least they have brute strength.
Yeah.
So it is a must. You must develop the intellect.
True.
And why? Because we have choice of action. Other species don't have.
Don't have choice of action. We are at least blessed on that front.
So now how to make the right choice? You need an intellect.
Yeah.
Now the majority of the problems in the world are because we are making choices with a poorly developed intellect. You think of one bad decision you made. Usually it is because intellect was weak or intellect was not used at all.
And we also need to understand how to control the intellect rather than intellect controlling us. A lot of times we are in the control of the mind, is what I feel.
Yes. What is happening is the mind is more powerful than the intellect.
Yeah.
So the mind takes over your personality.
Yeah.
Instead, we should be guided by the intellect.
That is where I think we get misguided. Ma'am, can you also break down Vedanta for me, for our viewers, to help us understand how to look at it?
Vedanta is nothing but a collection of laws pertaining to the human mind.
Okay.
Just as science is a collection of laws pertaining to the world.
Yes.
Now, if you want to live life, you have to know how these laws function
True.
and abide by them. Ignorance doesn't exempt you from the law.
Yeah.
So now what is happening is, because we have not been taught these laws, we are acting without any knowledge. So you're breaking laws unconsciously.
That is where a lot of people are misguiding that ignorance is bliss. We are living the life of ignorance. Then.
Yes. So it's like a child not knowing the law of gravity. He'll lean over a window and fall. Now you can't say, I'm good, tough luck. So these laws, once you learn them and once you master them, then life becomes very easy.
Easy and more structured, and you're more aware about the overall picture of life. Ma'am, one more thing, like the more we age, there's a problem that people start living life of more fear from death. They start to do more of good deeds in the later part of life rather than the first part of their life, because then the fear of death comes in. They want to live, they don't want to suffer in the ending. What is this thought process? What is this? Where is this coming from?
See, fear is a modification of desire. And desire comes when there is selfishness.
True.
So fear is directly related to selfishness.
It is an outcome of that, maybe.
Yes. Like Shakespeare said, cowards die many times before their death.
Yeah.
The brave die but once. What a statement.
Yeah, true.
So, if right from childhood we are brought up to follow the law of karma and perform powerful good actions. I say powerful because the intention is good. You're not just doing good because you have been brought up like that. It's not a passive goodness. It is a well thought out action where you know why you're doing what you're doing. So you build up your karma account.
Yeah.
Positivity. It's like a bank balance. You build up your karma account and then you become fearless because you're also unselfish. And then you understand how it functions. What is death? You understand through Vedanta. It is like they say, it is just like going to sleep and waking up. You are the same person.
Yeah.
You're just born in a different environment, different circumstance, because you demand it. Your personality demands it. So it's a promotion. Every death is a promotion.
So basically, they're seeing life without an end.
Yes.
Because we are scared of the end. We don't want the end. So what you're saying is that they feel that it is a part of life, although things might change, but you are still living that life.
Yes. And you forget everything. That is a blessing. Even during our lifetime, we forget.
Yeah.
Who bullied you in the 3rd standard, you don't forget. You don't remember.
We might after death come up in a different shape and size and different looks,
In a better environment.
better environment, yeah.
That suits you, the fulfillment
So that
of
is
your
where the
desire.
fear goes away.
Yes. Knowledge takes away fear.
And I think that is what we were manipulated a lot of times with a lot of invasion, a lot of things. I think the fear was brought into the system very, very aggressively. And we started living the life of fear, and we are still trying to come out of it. I think that is where we need to improve and get out of this life. Ma'am, I would like to know from you the relevance of Gita. What do you think about it? What can we learn from it? What is the relevance of Gita?
The Gita teaches us a technique of living.
Okay.
Now, in life, you may be born a talented singer, a talented cricketer, a talented golfer, but you still need to learn the technique, practice it, and master it. Right? You have to learn how to sing.
Yeah.
You have to learn how to play golf. You have to learn how to play tennis.
You have to polish it.
Similarly, in life, you have to learn the art of living, the technique of living, practice it, and master it. Now, what is happening nowadays is because this technique is not being taught. And it's not being taught because there's a complete misunderstanding of the Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
It is believed to be for old people, for retired people, for a preparation for death.
Yeah.
It is a preparation for life.
Yeah. People think that I will read Bhagavad Gita when I will be on deathbed, or I'll be in the last phase of my life, although it should be in the first phase of your life, so that the death part of your life improves. You are not suffering at the end.
Yes. So it's a simple technique. How to use your sense contact. When you eat a mango, say, you like it. What do? You keep eating mangoes. But the law is that every successive contact reduces the joy content. So by the time you eat the 50th mango, you're sick of it.
True.
So the Gita says, I'm just giving examples. Gita says, regulate the contact with the intellect. Now, our standard of living is determined by our income. Our standard of living should be determined by our desires.
Yeah.
However much you need, that much you have. Be generous with yourself, give yourself more. But don't just give more because you can afford it.
Yeah.
So what is happening now is the affluent don't enjoy because they have neutralized themselves to everything. The poor can't enjoy because they don't have to enjoy. Who enjoys? Only a Vedantic.
True.
So even if you want to enjoy life, you need the Bhagavad Gita. Then action.
Yeah.
Selfish action is not an option. It doesn't get you anywhere.
Yeah, true.
It doesn't get you even money. So look at all the successes in the world. Don Bradman did not play cricket for money.
Yeah.
Ustad Bismillah Khan did not play the Shehnai for money. Einstein did not do science for money. They were outstanding. The vast majority work for money. We are where we are.
And ma'am, it is so contrasting that you just mentioned that the rich is not enjoying, the poor is not enjoying. Both of them are two different sides, but both of them are suffering. I believe it is because of the mango story. And it is said, I heard it from my grandparents, that don't go according to your tongue. It will spoil you. Is it like that?
Yes. Because that is the law. If you indulge indiscriminately in a sense enjoyment, you lose the joy content.
Yeah.
So there also you use the intellect to regulate your contact so that your honeymoon with life never ends.
True. That is how I think it should be looked at.
Yes.
I would also like to know, ma'am, the thing that you mentioned, I saw that and I would like to bring that up again, is that what is the difference between knowledge and wisdom? You had explained it very, very nicely. I would like to know that.
See, when you eat food, you don't become strong. That food has to be broken down, digested, absorbed in your system, and transported to every cell till it becomes an inseparable part of you.
True.
Similarly, with knowledge, you hear or read, you believe you know. You know, but you don't understand.
Yeah.
So you have to reflect. So the first stage is Shravana. You say, I don't know, so I read or listen. Then Manana is the most important, which is reflection, thinking, contemplation, looking at the difference between what it is saying and what you are, where you are, and trying to bridge the gap, experimenting with it. And then you see for yourself that it works, and you then adopt it. And then it becomes an inseparable part of you. You grow into that.
So you look deeper into knowledge and just not superficially.
Yes. You have to think, you have to try it out, experiment it, and adopt it.
So you have to live that knowledge.
Live, correct.
And experience it, to bring it as a way of life then.
Yes.
Great. And ma'am, these days, like, you must have also seen with the generation and with the technologies and with a lot of things that have grown so fast in the last 2-3 decades, that we are also growing a lot of unstable emotions. Because there is so much to achieve, there's so much to think about, there's so much to look at. There's a lot of instability in the emotions. And I think that is having a lot of impact in our life. Do you think that is happening, and what is the impact of that? Unstable emotions can create a lot of impact in life.
Absolutely. See, all of us need relationships.
Yeah.
But when you establish a relationship, you pollute it with expectations.
True.
And these expectations have no connection with reality.
Yeah.
You know, like for instance, you expect a good-natured person who doesn't have the capacity to earn a lot of money to become a millionaire.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
So you have to choose what you want.
Yeah.
You can't say I want everything. It's not possible.
It is like we have a sequence of expectations. Find a good person. Once you find the good person, the expectation now changes. The good person is sorted. Now the second expectation is that this good person should also be a millionaire. I think that is where we are falling into trap of multiple expectations at the same time.
Yes. So when these, and then you make demands on the person. When these demands and expectations are not met with, you get frustrated, bitter. There is conflict.
And that seeps into other parts of your life.
Yes.
And that instability starts coming in, where there is a lot of multiple issues start popping in. There is a binge eating lot that is happening a lot these days, where we are satisfying some unsatisfied part of our body by filling with food and not thinking about it. We are trying to stop our mind from thinking a lot of times.
So let's come back to the cause. So what is happening is that there is love, but that love is tainted by selfishness. And why is the selfishness there? Because we are dependent. You know, it's like if you see a creeper,
Yeah.
it goes around a tree. It is totally dependent on the tree.
It cannot live without that dependence.
We are like that. We are so fragile that we lack the capacity to be by ourselves. Suppose I have polio in one leg, I need a crutch.
Yeah.
But if I don't have polio, I'm perfectly capable of standing on my feet. I have the luxury of leaning against a wall.
Yeah.
That is a good relationship, where you are perfectly capable of being by yourself. You are not dependent on others. You're not leaning on others. But you have a wonderful relationship with so many people,
Yeah.
where then there are no expectations. You accept a person for what he or she is. You love the person totally for what he is. And so there are no demands. And the human nature is such that where if you don't demand, I feel like giving.
Yeah.
The moment you demand, even if I would
We
have given
start
otherwise,
closing.
I say no.
Yeah. And I think when you said that you will love the other person completely is also when we love ourselves first. Like, as in, we love ourselves, meaning we are complete and we don't feel that dependency that you mentioned.
Self-sufficiency.
Self-sufficient, right?
So
Yeah.
when you are self-sufficient, you don't need anybody.
Then your relationships are really good in life.
Fantastic relationships.
I think that
Look at the irony of it. A person who doesn't need relationships has the best relationships.
yeah,
A person who needs and depends
is always suffering.
always has bad relationships. And nowadays you find relationships are breaking down at a fast pace
Yeah.
because selfishness is increasing, demands are increasing, and people don't see that it is because of me that my relationship has broken down.
We just blame on the other person.
We blame
all
the other
time.
person.
We're not looking inwards. I think that is where we fall into the trap of the blame game, that we are just blaming the other person all the time. Ma'am, do you think suffering becomes a habit over time because we don't know how to come out of it?
You know, in life, pain is a given. The moment you're born, you will be subject to pain. Physical pain, emotional pain, intellectual pain. Some pain or the other will be there. But suffering is your choice.
Is your choice.
You can choose not to suffer.
But when we are not aware, we fall into trap of making it a habit then.
No, how not to suffer? If you understand that, you will. So let's take an example. You take a horseshoe magnet, bring a piece of iron to it, it is affected by the magnet.
Yeah.
Take away the iron piece, bring a piece of wood,
Nothing
no
happens.
effect. Now do something interesting. Tie the iron and wooden pieces together and bring the combination to the magnet. It is affected, the combination is affected.
Yeah.
But the wooden piece in it is still immaculate, untouched by the magnet.
Yeah.
Now the world is a powerful magnet that affects your body, mind and intellect. But it cannot affect your spirit.
Yeah.
And we are a combination of matter and spirit. But because we have unintelligently identified with and got totally involved with matter, body, mind and intellect,
Yeah.
we become a generation of body worshippers.
Yeah.
So body is all that it matters to us.
The looks and the everything
So-
on the physical front.
When the world affects the body, you get affected because of your tight bondage
Bondage in the.
with it. So what we need to do is just loosen that bondage and tell yourself, yes, my body has a headache, but I need not suffer.
That requires certain amount of detachment from
Absolutely.
it. Right? I would like to know more about detachment. Can you break that down for me? What is, because it is difficult to understand it. It is
Okay.
not easy because we have never understood it in our lifetime.
So to understand detachment, you must understand attachment.
Yeah.
How do you get attached? Because of constant thinking.
Thinking. Yeah.
You meet a person, you say nice person, you keep repeating nice person, nice person, nice person. Before you know it, you're attached to the person.
Yeah.
How do you know you're attached? When the person is there, you feel comfortable. When the person is not there, you miss.
Because we are trying to fill a void in life, maybe.
You miss the person.
Yeah.
So it's as if you've lost your hand. That is the danger sign. That's when you should wake up and say, is this something that is good for me? Is this attachment what is in my interest? If not, clip right there.
Remember, there is a...
One sec, I'm coming back to body. So, now what has happened is, from birth, we have been constantly thinking of body, mind, intellect. I am the body, I am the mind, I am the intellect.
So, yeah.
So, you got attached. How to get detached? What is detachment? Detachment is getting attached to something higher. That is why we say it is so important to fix a goal in life. What is your goal? What is the purpose of your living? It can't be just being born, eating, growing, marrying, having children and dying.
Yeah.
There has to be something beyond it.
Bigger purpose.
So once you find that purpose, you're thinking of that, you're not thinking of the body that much, you get detached.
And detachment also further goes in different parts of your life then.
Yes. Once you're detached, it functions everywhere.
And this personality that we are talking about is a good person that is emotionally stable, aware, and also not doing harm to the people or the nature, anything. There is also a replica, not a replica, but a similar personality that I have observed multiple times. There are also ruthless, emotionless people who don't attach to anyone, who don't have any relationships in their life. They are big time loners. So they are also big time detached from, they think so, and it looks like so that they're detached from the world, but they are at that same time not good to the planet and people. They're very, very highly selfish. So being selfish, they're maybe attached only to themselves.
No. You are comparing an indifferent person to an attached person.
Okay.
You know, an indifferent person is one who is so selfish that he couldn't care about anybody else.
That is the other personality that I'm talking about.
This ruthless
person, yeah.
The other person who's good is attached. So both suffer. This one, the ruthless person, he's not detached. He's indifferent because he's totally attached
He's
to himself.
only attached to himself. Okay.
The other person is slightly better because he's attached at least to other people.
So that is an epitome of selfishness, and this one is
diluted
selfishness. There has to be something in between, and
not in between, higher.
Something higher than this.
So the higher,
there's nothing in between that is good actually. There's something higher than
the higher is a sattvic individual who is attached to the higher and therefore detached from himself and also his surrounding, his people.
Yeah. That is a very good explanation, ma'am, because this is slightly confusing at times. First of all, we don't understand detachment, and there are these two types of personalities that we see. Then it requires a lot of, I think, understanding, reading, awareness to start your journey towards the higher side.
Because detachment is misunderstood as indifference is misunderstood as detachment.
Yeah.
Because the external manifestation is similar.
So that is where a lot of these things that we were discussing, that a lot of gurus are also indifferent. They're detached, but they are completely attached to themselves, where they want people to come and follow them and a lot of things to do, so that they have that cult and things. So maybe they're indifferent a lot of times.
Yes.
Not the higher side, but on the indifferent side.
See, it's very difficult to judge others. That's why in Vedanta we say don't judge others. Look at yourself.
Yeah.
You use others when you observe other people only as a guideline to prevent yourself from falling into
that is where I only want to understand this as a guideline, because someone who is trying to figure things out is definitely also trying to figure spirituality out.
Yes.
They should not fall into wrong traps.
Yes, correct.
Because when you start figuring out, you are one of the vulnerable people. So vulnerability can be scary, and once you have that trauma, then it gets difficult to unwind that trauma, bring you to more of curiosity again and figuring out state of life. That is where I want to have that kind of a guideline for people.
And it's not very difficult if you're honest with yourself and you're true to yourself and you genuinely want to improve and become a better human being, you will never get misled.
Yeah. That is where I want to now get to intuition, because that is where a lot of times it is the intuition that we have. We don't understand it. I want you to explain intuition to me.
Okay, intuition is an English word which is often mistaken for impulse of the
Impulse.
mind.
True.
So, let's say you have two business proposals and the mind automatically, impulsively prefers one over the other.
Yeah.
You might mistake it for intuition, it's not. It's just an impulse of the mind. True intuition is a function of the intellect, where you have exercised your intellect in that field for a long time, and then instinctively it comes to you without having to go through the process of rationality, analysis. Like, I'll give you an example. When you first learn how to drive, you have to figure things out one by one. Do I press the clutch? Do I press the accelerator? When do I shift gears? So on. Once you become an expert driver, it comes to you instinctively.
It gets into a reflex.
And then in India, because people drive so in such an indisciplined manner, that intuitively you know what the guy in front of you is going to do.
Yeah, you can predict.
How does that happen? Because you have used your intellect for so many years that now it comes to you in a flash. You don't need to go over that thinking. So this is an example. Now in life also, when you have used your intellect, you gain what we call as clarity of thinking. And the fog index has gone. Fog has gone from your mind. Fog is because of multiple desires taking you in different directions, confusion in your mind, indecisiveness. All that is sorted. Then you have this clarity of vision. And you intuitively know things.
You can see the bigger picture.
Yeah. Like the person walks in, you know exactly what he's about. The higher part of intuition is where you use your subtle intellect or conscience. And you have used it a lot in the past. Then that sharpness comes to you, which you can't explain how you know, but you know.
Yeah. You have that feeling.
Yeah.
A lot of times is we take these decisions, like you mentioned, impulsively and rationalize it. So is there a difference between, because people think intelligence is about rationalizing and taking the impulsive decision. So is there a difference in intellect and rationalizing? Because I think that is also misunderstood.
Yes. If it is impulse and you ask a question, why am I liking this? And you don't have an answer, that is impulse. When it is intuition, if you were to stop and ask yourself a question, you will get the rational thought behind it. You will be able to trace back. If it is subtle intellect, which the difference is, subtle intellect tells you the difference between higher and lower, right and wrong, not profit and loss.
Because a lot of times it is profit and loss, it is rationalizing on what
Then
is
that's
more.
intellect.
That is intellect.
Where there is no value judgment.
Okay.
But when the conscience or subtle intellect comes in, there is a value judgment. This is right, this is wrong. For instance, you may say, this business proposal will give me a lot of profit, but it is wrong.
So that is where subtle intellect is higher than intellect. So we should focus for the subtle intellect in life.
Then you can't go wrong.
And that is where intuition is in your, you are in tune with your intuition also in this phase. It is amazing conversation that we are having, and I would like to know from you one last thing where I would like to end this is one story in maybe something that happened to you in life which was transformative for you, because a lot of times we have our journey is full of some transformative stories, like there is some impact. Some people have had bad phase of their life and then they transform to a completely new being. What was it for you?
I was very young then, about 21, 22, just married, barely 2 or 3 months into the marriage. And I used to attend classes on Vedanta and read books which my grandfather had introduced me to by Swami Ramatirtham, who was born in 1873 and moved on at the age of 32. So I never met him. But I've read his books from cover to cover multiple times, so much that I feel I know him. So I read a sentence that he had said in America when he was lecturing that changed my life. And that was, if you're not happy as you are, where you are, you will never be happy. That pulled the carpet from under my feet. Because see, all of us say, are you happy? Yes. But I just want one more thing to get right. Then I'll be happy.
This is missing.
So we suffer from what we call as JATC syndrome. Happiness seems to be just around the corner.
Okay. Just around the corner syndrome.
So Swami Ramatirtha says, no, if you're not happy now, as you are, with your financial condition, with the wife or husband that you have, with the partner that you have, with your present boss, if you're not happy, you will never be happy. So don't try and change circumstances, change yourself. And that was the turning point in my life. So all of us need that hook to hang on to, which lifts us from our present condition to a higher plane, and then you transform, you're a different person.
Ma'am, I very, very strongly believe in what you just said, and I follow that in my life also. But I've heard people around saying a different theory, which is around like being unsatisfied gives you growth. If you are happy, you will not grow. There is this theory that people relate to these days. People are telling other people that don't be satisfied, don't be happy. The day you are happy, your growth stops. What is this theory?
Okay, see, it's like this. If you're not happy as you are now, you will never be happy because, see, you're saying, if I get this, I'll be happy. You get it. Are you happy? No, you want something else. So that goes on. But what Vedanta is saying is, what these people are saying is, if you are content, you will not have ambition to improve. That is a tamasic state. That's a very low state.
Low state.
The rajasic state is where you're discontent all the time, whatever happens.
True.
You're always running for more. We are talking about the sattvic state, where the mind is calm, you're content with what you have, but the intellect envisions a better state and aspires to get there.
So it is a hybrid state, I would say, and a hybrid model where you are ambitious and calm and settled at the same time.
See, you could have a person has a two-wheeler. He's happy with the two-wheeler. But his intellect says, my family is growing, I need a four-wheeler.
So he is very well aware of what is happening and what is now needed, rather than without...
But he's happy.
Yeah.
So now what happens is, when you're happy and content, your mind is calm, the intellect is sharp, action's brilliant, you achieve higher things.
So these things are just a medium for you to go through life, rather than achievements, winning, success and all these things.
The mind has to be calm.
Ma'am, it was a superb conversation and thank you for coming to the show.
My pleasure.
It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hi, thank you for watching till the end. I hope you really liked the video. Please do comment below and tell us your feedback, and also tell us the guests that you would like to have on the show. We will definitely try and invite them and have on the show to discuss different aspects of well-being. Also, please do not forget to like, subscribe and share, because that helps us to reach out to more and more people to have the impact that we are working for. Thank you very much.